What's up guys, Syiler here, and I am back with another mount guide, and this time we're going to be taking a look at the Antoran Charhound mount, which comes from Antorus, the Burning Throne, and this mount drops from the second boss, the Fel Hounds of Sargeras, and it can come from all 4 difficulties, Raid Finder, Normal, Heroic, and Mythic. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the LFR difficulty because, well, it can drop the mount, same chance as the other difficulties, and the other ones are actually kind of hard to solo, surprisingly. And LFR is a challenge in itself, so unless you're like 395 eye level plus, or depending on your spec, that'll change things too. But it is going to be a kind of difficult solo, so be prepared for that when you come into it. Now to get into LFR, the Light's Breach, we want to head to Dalaran, and in the Violet Hold you'll find the NPC that we just seen on the map a moment ago. Speak to him and you'll be able to select the Light's Breach, which will take you into the LFR difficulty of Antorus. And then you only need to kill the first 2 bosses here to have a chance on the mount, but you can kill the third if you really want to. We don't have to, no reason to really. So because of it coming from all 4 difficulties, you will have 4 chances of getting this mount each week per character. As I said, Heroic and Mythic are going to be extremely difficult to solo. I don't even know if they're doable. Maybe someone out there can cheese or whatever, or might have the gear to be able to, or you might have the sustain or whatever, but for the vast majority of players, I feel like it's going to be very unlikely. Normal itself poses quite a big challenge. I was only able to get to the second boss, and the damage output was just way too high for Monk to be able to sustain through. Wasn't so much a mechanical issue, just the damage output itself is just way too high with them taking increased damage, which we'll talk about in a moment. So that trash a moment ago might be skippable. I didn't bother trying to skip it just in case. This mob here definitely isn't skippable, though you do need to kill it to activate the boss. So get this guy DPS down, and the trash isn't that bad anyway, it doesn't really do anything, it just takes up a little while. In terms of this mount's drop chance, it's about 5%, so you're going to have a decently good chance of getting this mount, and it doesn't take for too long to do either, because we only have to kill 2 bosses. So the first boss up is the Garothi Worldbreaker, and mechanically this fight isn't very difficult. It's just going to be a little bit difficult in terms of health sustain. That seems to be the big thing with this raid. The fights themselves aren't difficult, there's just a lot of damage going out that you need to be able to deal with. So think about your spec and your setup and try and get as much sustain as you can. In the start of the fight we pop all our cooldowns, we do as much DPS as possible, and then we DPS down the right gun. I don't think it really matters which gun we choose though, it didn't seem to affect the damage output at all. We stand in the eradication because honestly it doesn't do that much damage and gives us more DPS uptime. And then once the first cannon's down, you can do a little bit more DPS, get him to about 35%. And at that point, I'd recommend just surviving. Don't do much damage, just wait for your cooldowns, your DPS cooldowns, and your defensive cooldowns to come back again before you kill the last gun. Because once you kill that last gun, the damage output is going to be extremely high. And here you even see me move away from the boss and let him do carnage, because honestly, it felt like he does less damage doing carnage than he does with autos. So it just gave me a little bit of opportunity to reset my HP bar, waste some time, get all my cooldowns back and stuff like that. So just so I'm ready for, when that phase happens. So we're getting to the point where he's going to let us kill his second gun, and we have all our defensive cooldowns ready, and we also nearly have Touch of Karma again, so we're pretty good to go at this point. I just would recommend just trying to have a good chunk of defensive and offensive cooldowns for when this gun goes down, because you're going to see my HP bar, it starts to go down quite a lot. We're getting hit for like 10ish K per tick, and it ticks kind of quickly, so that is a lot of damage coming out, but we do have Touch of Karma, so we're fairly safe at this point. But just think about that coming into the fight. It is going to be quite rough in terms of the damage output. So, keep that in mind and kind of figure out your cooldowns so you can work around that. The other mechanic you need to worry about is the Fel Bombardment, and that's going to target you because you're going to be the only person in the raid. And it's basically going to follow you, knocking you back each time it hits. When the first one happens, you can kind of use your mobility to get to the other side, and it'll kind of follow you a little bit. That's one way of dealing with it, because it does deal a good amount of damage and it is going to be knocking you around too. Outside of that, move out of the giant green circle, and that's really it for mechanics you need to worry about. So all that trash you've just seen is skippable. We stuck to the right hand side. We didn't stand in the green puddles because those spawn and add 2. And then we make our way to the second boss, which is going to be the one that gives us the mount. And once again, this is kind of a difficult fight, not mechanically wise, but just output wise. So they are going to stack together. There's not really too much you can do about that. And the good thing about them stacking together is they share a HP pool, so you can use cleave and multi-dots or whatever. Downside is they're going to receive a damage increase buff and going to be doing a lot more damage to you. So I just pop all my cooldowns in the beginning, and whenever they do one of their main abilities when they hit 100 energy, that's when I'll look to use defensive cooldowns. But one thing I started to notice too was when they hit 100 energy, they'll actually be locked in place for a little bit. So what I did then was moved the other dog that's not casting its main ability away, and use that opportunity to kind of reset a little bit, get some HP back, and basically recover a little bit. So you've seen that purple swirly orb, you want to move out of that. On other difficulties it's going to kind of pull you towards it, but in this difficulty just move away from it so you're avoiding damage. And basically just try and live. It's another fight where you need to sustain through the damage that's happening. Use cooldowns whenever, as I said, generally towards when they hit 100 energy and they're using their main ability, because that's where the damage output is going to be quite high. But also take that as an opportunity to run the other dog away from the first dog, just so they're not doing so much damage and you get a little bit, a breathing room basically. But at this point the fight's nearly over, so we can pop our cooldowns and finish it off. So there's not too much mechanically we need to worry about there. And move out of the orb, try and move out of the fire line once it happens, but for the most part it's just going to be surviving and making use of your kit to get through the damage output. On normal difficulty, it's going to be a lot more difficult because there's going to be way more damage and a couple more mechanics happening too, like the swirlies and the orb's going to pull you towards it and stuff. So it makes it a really, really rough sustain fight. But give it a go, maybe your class has a lot more sustain than Windwalker Monk does, and you're able to get through that. I couldn't, not yet anyway. And best of luck, let me know if you are able to do it on normal too. So good luck with the mount. As I said, LFR should be a fairly okay-ish clear for 395 plus people, maybe 400. Outside of that, you're going to struggle if you're like 390 or below, and depends on your spec too, so you really need to think about your setup coming into this. But good luck with the mount, look out for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching guys, see ya!